I needed a filing cabinet, so I bought this one for cheap off of Marketplace, hoping that I can paint it. I'm Sarah. I've been flipping furniture and have redone a few rooms in my house, but I have so many projects I want to learn how to do. I'm usually figuring things out as I go and learn from a lot of mistakes, but I'm so excited to see all these ideas I have come to life and to get to share them with you. So, welcome to my channel. Before buying this, I did some research by watching different YouTube videos of people painting metal filing cabinets to make sure I can do this right and make my paint stick. Now, as I look this over, the biggest point of concern I have is right here at this corner with this rust. If I don't treat it right, the rust can come back through the paint. So I'm going to have to make sure that area and any other area of rust, I make sure I seal it up so that it doesn't come back. I also need to make sure as I prep this that I do what is needed so that my paint sticks. So that's my biggest concern as I'm looking this piece over. The drawers move in and out fine. The handles are plastic. That might make it easier to paint. It kind of makes it not as fancy, but that's fine. There are other scratches and stuff on this, so I'm going to have to make sure that I sand everything smoothly so that I have a nice finish on my paint job. Now, before sanding, I'm going to clean this up. I'm using Simple Green. It's a nice degreaser. There's others out there that will work just fine. But after I wipe everything down and scrub any dirty spots and smudges off, I will come back with a wet rag and just make sure all the residue or any of the chemicals left is completely off the piece. I don't think I would have thought to do this on my own, but thankfully I did a little research and people recommended using an orbital sander to prep the surface, which makes total sense. That's what I do on other pieces I'm going to paint. You want to scuff sand to make sure that you can get a good adhesion with your paint, but also this is going to sand out and kind of buff out the rust spots. So that's important because I want all of the rust off of here so that it's not bubbling up underneath my paint. I used the 180 grit sandpaper. I figured that was enough to give it a good grit, to give it a good scuff, yet a small enough grit that it would be smooth-ish, especially for the rust spots. I didn't want big scratches that would show through the paint, so that's why I went with the 180. And I sanded the entire piece down, all of it. And I especially focused on the scratches and the rust areas to really make sure I got those sanded smooth, because anything that you can feel while I'm sanding, I feel as I go with my hand, because any bumps you can feel, it will show through with the paint. So I want to get it as smooth as possible so that I don't feel anything. I did have to take the handles out because I didn't want to sand over those. And I especially hit that rust area to make sure that it was really sanded well. And you can see here, it's like the bare metal. And that's something you need to be aware of from the videos I was watching, is if you get down to bare metal like this, you're going to have a good, like a Rust-Oleum primer to cover that back up. So with the entire piece sanded, I'm wiping it off with a damp towel just to get all the dust and things off so that it is a nice, clean, and ready for my primer. I have this Rust-Oleum brand flat white primer. I am going to paint this a dark color, so a dark primer would have been ideal, but I already had this, so I'm going with it. Now, this is Rust-Oleum brand, but it does not say it covers over rust. I did have other Rust-Oleum paint that said it covers over rust, but they weren't primers, so I chose to go with this one. This, in the long run, may or may not be a bad idea. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go with it's a Rust-Oleum brand that it should cover and keep at bay rust. I guess time will tell. I'm not going to be able to tell you by the end of this video if it worked, because it might take months to a year. I don't know. I'm hoping that I've made the right choice and this will give me a good base so that the rust will be gone for years to come. I'm going to paint this a dark blue. If you watched some of my recent flips, I have a new dark blue and I love the color, even though it's given me a little bit of a headache because of it not drying well. I decided I still want this dark blue, so I'm going to use it anyway. But I want to paint the handles gold because I think that'll look really sharp with the dark blues. Once the primer is dry, which being a spray primer dried very quickly, I am ready to paint. I often use a paintbrush, but because this is so smooth and there's no wood grains, I'm painting as much as I can with a roller, and I think that will give me the smoothest finish. With using the roller, even probably with a paintbrush, I couldn't get inside the edge where the base of the drawer glides in and out. And I'm hoping you can't see that white very much. I was kind of trying to make this a simple flip as well, so I didn't bother with it. This is also a test run. I think most of my flips, I have an idea and I go, what would happen if I do this? And I'm kind of okay if it doesn't turn out perfectly right, especially when I keep a piece. And it's like, okay, is it 100% perfect? No, but it's 99%, so I'm fine with it, you know. So once that top coat dried, you could see the primer through in many spots. So I did a light sand just to get the bumps and anything that maybe dried on it or things that were in the paint. Just very lightly scuff sanding with this dark paint. You can easily scuff too much off when you're trying to just get the little bumps off. So once I got that off, wipe it down with a wet rag to get the dust off. And you're ready to paint a second coat. After the second coat dried, I came back and just dusted off. You know, things get dusty as they sit in my garage, and I noticed that just my dry rag was leaving little marks. I don't know if you can see it very well in this video, but I could see it, and I thought, this needs a top coat. I'm going to be sitting a printer on this, and I don't want it to scratch easily. I'm a little extra cautious because I am painting metal. I use furniture paint. I don't know if that's made to paint onto metal or not. And this paint has been giving me a hard time with dry time. So it's been dry. So it had plenty of days to dry, multiple days to dry, probably over a week. And I decided to go in and do a clear coat, which I like to use a foam brush. This goes on pretty smooth. I wasn't concerned about it messing up my flawless finish with my roller. I did not want to come in with a brush and use the top coat. I was concerned it would leave brush marks. I'm only putting one layer of this top coat on. I think that will be enough. I just want to seal it to make sure that it just has a harder finish than the furniture paint was giving, so that when it's wiped down with a rag, I don't see scratches in it. That is probably one of my biggest the biggest disappointments with having dark paint is I feel like it shows dirt. I feel like it shows those wiping scratches. Like it looks so beautiful, but it shows so much. So putting this top coat on and letting it dry a lot. Now the last piece that I put a top coat on with this paint, it cracked. And I'll tell you in a minute whether I let this dry enough if it cracked or not. But before that, it was dry, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to put the handles on. But as I went to put them on, I could see that I did not paint the sides of the inside of the handle. So I came in with a little foam brush, and I'm just going to put one coat on there. And then once it dries, I'll pop the handles back in. Okay, so back to the top coat, whether it crackled or not. It actually did. Like the whole thing. Not just in spots like my other piece. I'll link that up here if you want to check out that other video after this. But I'm going to see, my whole, will this work or that? I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to put another top coat over it. And I'm going to see if it lasts and if it holds. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. So you can also see the inside edges, kind of a little bit of the white poking through. So that's where a little more paint on the inside with a tiny paintbrush probably would have made this a little bit better. But with all that said, this piece is done. So let's look back at where we started, some rust to take care of, and we'll go into the final reveal. But let me know in the comments, would you do this? Would you paint a filing cabinet? This one didn't look that bad. I could have used it as is, but isn't this more fun to make it a pop of color, to add some interest into my living space and make it a little less factory and hard, cold metal? So I hope you've enjoyed this and it's inspired you to try painting something, see what works and what doesn't work, experiment, learn, grow, get better as you go. This was a fun piece. I think it looks better painted. Is it perfect? No, and that's fine. I painted this piece so I could have a place to put my printer, so I'll show you that. But I've got some recommendations here at the end for you of videos I think you would enjoy, and I hope to see you in another video. Until next time.